Hello guys, welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. So on this episode I get to share with you messages that I receive from people who tell me that either they are living in America or they are based in Europe. So this is the latest message that I received. The message reads like this: hello my brother, I had to create this ghost account so that I can share with you this confession that I'm about to give you. My story goes like this. When I came here to Europe, I started to work for this guy. Let's just say that I came here to UK, even though at the moment I am not based in the United Kingdom. So when I came into the UK, I started to work for this white guy. This guy was quite a rich guy. When I started to work for this guy, I was working as a bodyguard. When I started to work for this guy, I was working as a private security at his company. But he told me that he wanted me to be his bodyguard. So I went for the course. Actually, it was just a crash course. This guy then paid for all the classes that I was supposed to take. Then I became his bodyguard. My brother, this guy was the most unusual guy that I ever come across. He never slept. He was always working all the time. This guy was just a sociopath. He never wanted to be around people. He told me that I was the only person that he trusted in this whole world. This guy, sometimes what he'll do is that at night he will tell me that I have to drive him around town. Then he will point at those women of the night, you know, those that I'm talking about, the prostitutes and the stuff. So whilst you'll be pointing at them, you'll be sitting at the back of the car. Then he'll tell me that stop the car. Then I'll get out of the car. I would walk at the girl at whom he would have pointed at. Then I'll tell that girl that the boss wants to see you. Then we'll walk back to the car. Then we'll go and book a room for him. Maybe he will be with that girl for the rest of the night, maybe just for 1 hour. Then he will tell me that we have to go and drop that girl back into town. He was someone who was after prostitutes. Sometimes he would book these prostitutes online, some of them from Brazil, Mexico, or Colombia. This guy had a thing for Latina women. So what he'll do is that when he goes online and he meets these women, then he'll book them to come to the UK. Then maybe they'll come here for 1 month or 2 months. They'll be just staying at a hotel. Then that woman will go back to their country with loads and loads of cash. That was the way that he used to roll. So what he'll do is that when he was in a hotel, he'll then book the opposite room so that I can keep on checking on him. I used to have the spare key to whatever hotel room that you will be booked in, so that constantly I'll go into his room so that I can check up on him. This guy, he used to have 3 phones. One was for his business partners. The other one was that his wife and the family can reach him. Then the third phone was an emergency phone. On that phone, if I'll ever try to reach him and I call him 3 times, and if he doesn't pick up, then I had to initiate the emergency procedure. So there was this other night we were booked at this particular hotel. I called him the first time, the second time, and he didn't pick up his call. So I had to initiate the emergency procedure. I called his private emergency services and also to have his helicopter on standby if there was going to be any emergency evacuation. Then I rushed into his room. I pulled out my gun because I couldn't see him at first. I thought that maybe something bad had happened to him. As I was looking around the room, I heard that there was someone in the bathroom. I walked there carefully because I thought that the intruder was now in the bathroom. I burst open the bathroom door and he looked at me like, are you mad or something? Because he was busy washing his hands, but I could see that his hands were red with blood. I wondered where was the blood coming from. Then he pointed at the body bag that was on the floor. He told me, take the car keys and go and put that bag in the boot of the car. I obeyed his command. I took that heavy body bag. In my mind, I was thinking, is this a dead human being? But it was lighter than a human. I thought that maybe it was a child or something. I then deactivated the emergency procedure. So this guy that I used to work for, whenever he'll be booked in at a hotel, he would make sure that he was VVIP, so that when he walks out of the hotel, he doesn't use the reception area. Each and every hotel that will be booked in, he made sure first that before he made the payments, he wanted to be booked VVIP, so that he doesn't use the reception area, but even the entrance, he would enter at the back and he would just leave his car at the back. So I just walked out, then I went at the back, then I put that body bag in the boot of the car, then I waited for him. I waited for something like 20 minutes, then he came out of the hotel, but I quickly spotted that on his t-shirt that he was wearing there was blood, and it was a white t-shirt. I rushed over to him because I didn't want other people to see that this guy's t-shirt was covered in blood, because I thought that in that body bag there was a human being or maybe a child. I told him to wear my jacket so as to conceal the blood that was on his t-shirt. Then we went to the car and he directed me to drive towards the freeway. Whilst we were driving on the freeway, whenever a traffic cop or a police car will drive past us, my heart will bang against my chest, because I thought that if we were going to get arrested, this guy is a rich guy and I'm just a poor man. I'll be the one who will be sacrificed for whatever the crime that this guy would have committed. As we were driving along the freeway, we reached a point whereby on the right side and also on the left side of the road, we were surrounded by this pinewood forest. He told me to stop the car. We stopped the car and he said that you have to navigate a little bit into the forest so that we can safely park the car far away from the freeway. I did that, but the car was heavily scratched and it was an expensive car. He didn't even care about how much it was going to cost. This car was quite a low profile car, and as I was driving through the forest, I could feel that the grille of this car was already damaged. In the morning when I checked on the car, it was as if we had been involved in a head-on collision. But whilst I was driving, he kept on telling me, drive, don't worry. Finally, when we were deep enough for him in this pinewood forest, he told me to stop and he got out. He opened at the back of the car and he pulled out 2 shovels, and he told me that we had to dig, but not dig very deep. He just said just a shallow grave. So we had to dig that shallow grave with the headlights on, and afterwards he went at the back. And afterwards we went at the back and he told me that I had to pull out that body bag. So I was shaking because I thought that this was a human being. Then we went and he told me to throw that body bag in that shallow grave, and he told me to go and open that body bag and take that body bag out of that shallow grave. So I went in there because I told myself that if this guy is crazy enough to drive his most expensive car deep in the forest like this, what is he going to do to me? He's just going to shoot me if I refuse. So I went into that shallow grave. Then I opened the zip of that body bag and I saw that there was no human being inside, but it was a dead dog, a mutilated dead dog. As I was standing there, that guy was standing above, laughing at me, thinking that all of this was just a funny joke. I told myself that this guy is just a crazy guy. I got out of that grave, and from that day I told myself that I had to make a plan and just stop working for him. From the day that we buried this dog up until the day that I told him that I no longer wanted to work for him anymore, I think that he killed more than 25 dogs. So what he'll do is that he would walk around, and if he ever sees a dog outside, he will whistle to that dog, and when that dog comes, he will just tranquilize that dog. Then he will carry that dog into his car. Sometimes he would walk around with a tranquilizer gun, then he would just shoot a dog, but we used to do it at night. then we'll just load that dog into the back of his car. Then he will go into his hotel room, do whatever that he used to do with that dog, and he will tell me that we have to go and bury that dog. The day that I said that enough, I'm no longer going to work for this guy, it's the day that I walked into his hotel room. Then I found out that he was naked, and on his bed there was this dead dog, mutilated dog, and he was busy masturbating and ejaculating on top of that dead dog. And I saw that I was just working for a crazy guy. I just had to stop working for him, even though he was giving me a very good salary. But I could not peacefully sleep at night thinking of all the things that I had seen him doing with all these dead dogs and all of the drugs that this guy used to do. I said that it was just enough for me. I couldn't take it anymore. So I called him this other day. Then I told him that I can't work for you anymore because of your behavior. Then he started to threaten me over the phone, telling me that he knew all the gangsters that could hunt me down. And I told him that it is okay. If you are going to end my life because I can't work for you because you are a crazy guy, then just do it. But funny enough, he never hired these gangsters that he told me that he was going to hire so that they can end my life. This guy then passed away because of a drug overdose. Now that is no more, I feel free that I can share my story, but I still fear that maybe if I come out into the open, you never know what might happen to me. Maybe his family might think that I am trying to tarnish his image. That is why I have created this ghost account so that you can post for me as anonymous. Thank you so much for your program, my brother. Dear listeners, right there was a story from Anonymous. Let's meet again in the following episodes.